Do you know how much money your company is losing because of inexperienced management? Let's take a look at turnover. So your average company in the United States has a turnover rate of about 23%. Let's say that your company, Company A, is actually a little better than average, and your turnover rate is about 20%. Studies in 2017 showed that on average, it costs about 33% of an employee's salary to replace them if you lose them through turnover. So about 1/3 of what someone makes a year is what it will cost you to replace them when they quit. Let's again say that your Company A is better than average, and let's say it only costs you about 25% of an employee's salary to replace them every year instead of the normal 33. So for your company, Company A, an average employee makes about $40,000 a year. Now, if you're losing an employee, it's going to cost about 25% of their salary to replace them. So 25% of $40,000 is $10,000. It's going to cost you $10,000 to replace that employee when they quit. Now, if you're a big company, $10,000 might not be so bad. But again, you're not losing one employee per year. For this example, you're losing 20. So if you're paying $10,000 times 20 employees that you lose per year, you're paying about $200,000 in turnover costs alone. $200,000 in turnover. Again, $200,000 in turnover. Now, studies conducted in exit interviews show that about 75% of turnover is completely avoidable, meaning the reason that that employee left was completely under our power to fix, but we just chose not to do it. So if we take about 75% of that $200,000, that means $150,000 that was spent on turnover for Company A in this last year was completely avoidable. $150,000 was wasted for no reason. This is not including a loss of productivity, costs of mistakes as new people are starting, the shrinkage that's going to occur. All of this and more can easily round that back up to $200,000. And last but not least, let's talk about the time that you're putting in to fixing these personnel problems. Let's say you spend 2 hours a week addressing personnel problems. This can be 30 minutes a week spent on in-person conversations, 30 minutes a week spent on phone conversations or texts, another 30 minutes a week spent on emails, and the other 30 minutes a week reassuring people that no worries, we'll get through this. It's just a slight hump that we need to get over. If you're spending 2 hours a week on personnel issues, that means you're spending over 100 hours a year on personnel issues that you shouldn't be. You could easily find out what your hourly rate is, multiply it for those 100 hours, and attach that onto the cost too if you wanted to. But let's not do that. Let's look at what you could do for your company if you had an extra 100 hours that you didn't have to devote to personnel problems. I don't know you, I don't know your role, I don't know your company, but I'm guessing you could probably do quite a bit if you had that time back. So the final cost of personnel issues for your company, Company A, is about $200,000 related to turnover and 100 hours of your time per year also related to turnover. And that's quite a bit. Now here's another stat that I can almost promise you is accurate. About 90% of management employees are not aware of these numbers. They don't know what turnover rates are. They don't know the costs of losing an employee and hiring a new one. And the reason they don't know about it is not because they're bad at their jobs, but it's just because they were never taught. They were never trained. They were never told. They don't see these numbers, so they have no idea these numbers exist. So if your company is having an issue with turnover and these massive costs associated with it, the absolute first step that you need to do is plug in the numbers for your company so these numbers are accurate for your circumstance and introduce them to your management team. Teach them what it costs to lose people. Teach them how much is being spent because stupid problems are not being addressed. When you teach everyone the information that they need to know and you get them all on the same page of these costs, that's when real conversations can happen that will lead to real solutions to address these issues. At the very least, if you want to solve this problem, get your management team familiar with these numbers. Do not let your company go through $200,000 worth of costs every single year for no reason.